Hey guys, so welcome to the first of a few Pinnacle guitar videos here on some of our beginner lessons. We're going to talk today about drop D power chords, and specifically we're going to talk about the open D5 power chord, which is basically just when you're tuned to drop D, you can just play the bottom three strings and you got a perfect chord here. So it sounds something like this. Give you the example here. It's just those open three strings, and they're really versatile. I mean, as soon as we get started here, you'll pick this up pretty quick, I think. And if you follow the instructions here in these first couple of videos, you'll definitely be playing your first songs by the end of these. You're probably going to need to know a few basic things like how to hold your guitar pick and how to hold the guitar and things like that. And those are going to be on our website at pinnacleguitar.com, and the links should be in the description here. So go ahead and check those out, and we'll get started on the lesson here. All right, so we're going to get started with the D5 power chord, like I said, and really the important parts of this are muting the top three strings. And this gets a little confusing because we're talking about top three and bottom three, and from where you're sitting, the bottom three are actually the top of the guitar here. So it seems a little bit confusing, but the idea is that the higher strings, which are the top strings, are on the bottom of the guitar. Now we call them the top because they're high strings. So those three strings down there are actually the top of the guitar. And that'll make a lot more sense when we start talking about guitar tabs and things like that. But we want to mute these, so we don't want to hear any of these high strings because we're playing just the three lowest notes. So it's pretty straightforward. You just take your hand here and mute those top three, and usually you want to use a couple of fingers, and you want to be somewhere in between the fret wires, which are the metal guys here, and just strum away. Now it doesn't matter where my hand is on the guitar neck because I'm playing the open strings. I'm playing the strings that I'm not touching. So you can put your hand wherever you want here. Now usually what you want to do is put your hand somewhere where you can be ready to play your next chord. But we'll talk about that later when we start getting into chords that you're going to be playing. So we're just going to talk about. I'm going to mute right here on the third fret, or the third one in here. Remember, you want to pause this and kind of play around with it. I'm leaving you some space here so that you guys can really just get a feel for strumming the guitar and not playing the notes that you don't want to hear. So we don't want to hear any of those. And the advantage of muting here is that we can really slam on this chord, playing all the strings on the guitar. And it won't affect the chord because we're solidly muting those top three strings. So another part of this we got to think about is when we're muting, there's something called natural harmonics that can occur. And this is when your fingers are hovering over a fret wire. So these little metal wires here are called fret wires. And if you hover over one of them and mute it, you get these ringing noises. And that's because we're not really muting enough with as many fingers as you can get on there, the better. I mean, that's really going to help you get that solid mute. Instead of this ringing. And usually the ring happens when you let go of the chord. Okay, so we're going to talk about tuning quickly here. And that's because in order to play this open D5, we're going to need to be in a drop D tuning. Now, on the website, we have a lot of links on how to tune your guitar, or we have at least two, I know that, and they're going to involve tuning by ear or tuning with a tuner, and that's the easiest way to go. Tuners, very basic. They just help you tune your guitar to the notes that you want your strings to be at. And it's really going to help your guitar sound cohesive. Like if you have one string out of tune, you go to play this chord, it's going to sound really sloppy. So let me just give you some examples here. So all I'm doing is I'm detuning one string. I'm detuning the A string. And you hear how awful that chord sounds now. We really want to get that back in shape. So I'm going to do a little tuning by ear just to get that back in shape. So now we're back to our regular D5, and all I had to do was play a string in relation to the other strings and make it sound like it's in tune. Now that takes some practice because you've got to train your ears to understand how a guitar should sound, and that takes a little bit of practice, like I say. So we're just gonna, focus on trying to get yourself a good tuner and really get the sounds of what is correct in your head before you try to tune by ear. It'll be a lot easier in the long run. And I don't know if we have a lesson up there yet with tune by ear, but we'll get it up there very soon. So. Okay, so we're going to talk about being able to play this chord with just 2 strings. So we've been talking about playing it the bottom 3 strings, the lowest ones. Those bottom 3, been talking about those, and we can do this with just the bottom 2. So we get rid of this third one down here. So we're going to mute all 4 of these top 4 strings, and we're just going to play the bottom 2. Now this chord almost sounds identical to the 3. What that third string adds is what we call an octave. So this string and the third one are an octave, and that creates like a full chord sound. But it's not necessary to create the chord because the root of our chord is still there. So we can do this with just the 2 strings. It's really useful when you start playing faster and you're using, chords, when you're changing chords really quickly, and you don't want to worry about accuracy very much. When you're just trying to rock out and you really want to get the tonality right, but you don't necessarily want to focus on having to get super accurate. So we're talking about just 2 strings here. That's about as easy as it gets, and it'll make a lot more sense when we start tuning to standard tunings and you're playing with your fingers, because it uses a lot less, finger action to be able to just get the chord done. So we're going to do a quick little recap here. So we're talking about the top strings being the bottom 3 here. So the highest strings, those are our top strings. Now the bottom strings are on the top of the guitar, but they're the lowest strings, so we call them the bottom ones. And we talked about muting, and muting is what gives you control of your guitar, and it keeps it so that you can play hard without losing tonality. It's really important. And finally, we talked about how power chords can be used in 3-string formations or just 2 strings. And you're going to really love it when you start playing fast and you get into the idea of like, oh, I only have to play this with 2 strings, and I use a lot less fingers and I can change chords really quickly. So that's going to be pretty much it for this lesson, guys. And I know it was real simple, real easy. I hope you learned a lot here. Check out the Pinnacle Guitar website. There's going to be a lot more information there. And stay tuned for the next video here. We'll try to knock it out. I'm going to try to do a couple of these, within the weeks to come here, and so you guys don't have to wait too long. The next lesson will probably be on how to play chords that you actually press on. So actually building up some calluses and playing some notes. So get ready for that, and I'll talk to you soon.